Hi, and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that takes a look at players linked with a move this summer to the Arsenal. And the first rumour we're going to go with today could possibly be the worst rumour of the summer. And that is the one that's been in the Daily Mail about Angel Di Maria moving to Arsenal. Di Maria, that's why I went with the title today, Arsenal to rescue Di Maria. I mean, if we did take it, it would be a rescue job because it has been a disastrous first season for, you know, the marquee signing by Manchester United. They paid nearly £60 million for him, remember. And we're being told in the Daily Mail today that Arsenal are keen on signing Di Maria from Manchester United. They're getting themselves in gear to prepare a deal. You know, I just can't get this one. This one to me, I mean, it's just come out of nowhere. It's just come out of the blue. But I just cannot, even though Arsenal being big admirers of Angel Di Maria, there's with no doubt about that Arsene Wenger was interested in signing Di Maria before he went to Manchester United. But the fee that was paid for him, which Manchester United would want to recoup, which would be absolutely a stunning fee to pay for Di Maria, which would be about 60 million. Or put it this way, they paid nearly 60 million for him. They're going to want to get back at least 50 million for him, at least, right? Because of that investment that they've put in. So they're going to want most of that back. He's on reportedly £260,000 a week. 260,000. Now, there's no player at Arsenal at the moment anywhere near those sort of wages. So you bring him in, even if you paid him 200,000, it's blowing your payment structure out of the window. You're going to have to renegotiate contracts with other players. He's also wanted by PSG. He's wanted by Bayern Munich as well, apparently. But for me, this has got to go down as the most ridiculous rumour of the summer. Not only that, I couldn't see Manchester United selling Di Maria to Arsenal. They know that it then has the potential for Arsenal taking him, Wenger working his magic and him turning out to be the top player that he's supposed to be. I mean, to me, they should get rid of him because he just doesn't fit in with what they're trying to do up there at Manchester United at the moment. And, you know, with them bringing in guys like Depay and that, you do wonder what sort of role Di Maria is going to play for them next season. But Di Maria coming to Arsenal, I very, very, very much doubt it. But it makes a great story, doesn't it? And that's probably why the papers have done it. Another player that Arsenal have been linked with, Argentinian, we've been linked with him all summer. It's Gonzalo Higuain. That picture there is when he actually took the penalty on Saturday. Now, I was saying that, listen, his price is probably going to drop off a bit following that really disappointing final against Chile, where he missed a sitter near the end, and his penalty was the worst penalty I've seen since Adebayor blazed that penalty high over the bar for Tottenham. But his club are standing firm. They're saying, listen, if you want to sign him with Arsenal, you're interested in him, and we've heard that, you know, Arsenal are interested in signing Gonzalo Higuain, and that they were looking at the fee of £40 million. Well, we've been told that his club Napoli are standing firm and saying, listen, we don't care if he had a bad final. The price is still the price. We want upwards towards £60 million for Gonzalo Higuain, which for me is absolutely ridiculous. Gonzalo Higuain is probably worth about 30 to 35 million absolute tops. Nothing more than that. And Napoli ain't going to get nothing more than that. The player wants to leave. There's going to be a lot of brinkmanship and negotiations going on. But there's one thing's for sure. They will not get anything near £60 million for Gonzalo Higuain. Arsenal player that looks like he's on the move. We've been thinking that he's going to be on the move. And he actually came out and said that, you know, he's willing to come back and fight for his place. Is David Ospina. But we're being told today that Ospina is a target for Everton. That Everton would like to buy Ospina. They see him as a replacement for Tim Howard, who's starting to knock on a bit. Also made quite a few mistakes last year for Everton. I think that'd be a great fit for David Ospina. Everton, that would be a brilliant fit for him, in fact, because he'd be able to establish himself as the #1, and I think he'd have a really good long run in the team. Everton apparently willing to pay the £5 million, and we were being told that he was going to Fenerbahce, but Everton looking interested in buying Ospina, and I think for Ospina that would be a good little club for Ospina to join, but we have to wait and see what happens with that. Ospina at the moment taking his time in deciding where he's going to be going to. It does definitely look like he's going to be the keeper. He's going to be on his way out. Another Arsenal player that could be on his way out is Matthew Flamini. We spoke about yesterday about defensive midfielders. We're being told that Bastia in France want to sign Matthew Flamini. He's still got a year left on his deal with Arsenal, but we're being told the Metro are saying that, you know, Arsenal may be willing to cancel that last year so that he could move to Bastia. Bastia haven't got wouldn't really have the money to pay the upfront fee, so in order to help them move along, Arsenal might be willing to do that. Could that mean then that they're making room to bring in another defensive midfielder? Nobody really knows. We'd have to wait and see, but that'd be certainly interesting if Flamini did go out of Arsenal. Surely that would mean that then Arsenal are going to have to bring in another defensive midfielder. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that one. It's really, really interesting, this whole defensive midfielder debate. I was having it on Twitter yesterday. I was saying that if we've got Coquelin, Arteta, and Flamini, do we need to go out and buy another defensive midfielder? My personal opinion is I'd like to let one of those go. Not Coquelin, but one of either Arteta or Flamini. It's not going to be Arteta because he's just signed a new deal. Also, remember, he's a captain of the club. So if it would have to be, I suppose, Flamini, and bring somebody else in. I just think that, you know, a younger defensive midfielder is going to offer competition to Coquelin. Now, what type of defensive midfielder do you bring? Because do you bring in a real top quality defensive midfielder, which is what a lot of Arsenal fans would like? However, is that person going to be willing to sit on a bench for a season when he could go to, if he's a top quality player, he could go like a Kondogbia, say, or, you know, those sort of targets, Schneiderlin, when they can go to other clubs and get straight into the first team. And if you even looked at Chelsea last year, they had Matic, who's obviously brilliant defensive midfielder, but the backup was Obi Mikel. You wouldn't say he's on the same, nowhere near the level of Matic, but coming in on a game-to-game, you know, 2 games here, game there, he does a job. So could Arteta fulfill that same sort of role for Arsenal? That's what we're going to have to wait and see what's in Arsene Wenger's thinking. In his thinking as well is that he wants to offload Joel Campbell. We've sort of known that Campbell's kind of surplus to requirements, so it feels sorry for this lad. He's never really had a chance to get going at Arsenal. Doesn't look like they really fancy him. We're being told that a deal is almost done for him to join Besiktas over there in Turkey. Of course, they had they have always been signing players from the Premier League. We're hearing that they're linked with a move for Loic Remy today. Of course, they had Demba Ba last season. They apparently have offered 3.5 million for Joel Campbell, which has been accepted. And it's just a player at the moment working on the terms. And we're being told he'll be a Besiktas player. Seems to be a place where a lot of Premier League players end up in Turkey. Turkish club play, you know, they may not pay the mega fees, but they pay very, very good wages, and their tax that they take off of the players is very low. Hence why you see players like Podolski, players like that heading over to Turkey, you know, because you can get a very, very good salary. And if you do really well, you could be heading back to one of those big leagues. So I think that's why a lot of players choose to go over to Turkey. Carl Jenkinson as well, it seems like his future is starting to get sorted out. We were being told that he was going to be sold on a permanent move to West Ham, but today it seems to be emerging, excuse me, that Jenkinson is not going to be sold on a permanent deal, that he's going to sign a new deal with Arsenal, and then he'll go out on loan. West Ham, the favourites for the loan move, but not necessarily that he will go to West Ham. There are many other clubs that are interested in Jenkinson, and it could be in Arsene Wenger's thinking that, you know what, let me send him out to somewhere else to see how he gets on there. But it looks like he's going to be signing a new deal with Arsenal, and then will be going out on loan, which again I think is a great thing, because gets him to get more experience under his belt, so that when he does come back into Arsenal, he can then challenge for that right back position. And would definitely like to see Carl Jenkinson having a long-term future at Arsenal Football Club. Finally, the Arsenal team were back in training yesterday. Back in training. You can see there the squad there. Look, Yaya Sanogo at the front there running the Akpom. Oxlade-Chamberlain, Coquelin running at the front there. Who's that right at the back there? Mertesacker, right at the back. That could only be because they were just sort of running in formation there. But it's good to see them back in training. Of course, next week they're over to Singapore to start their pre-season training with 2 games over there. Then they come back for the Emirates Cup. Then it's going to be the Community Shield, and then the season starts. Season starting really quickly this season, of course, because, of course, at the end of the season, you've got the Euros over there in France. So things starting to hot up already for the new season. And it's only seemed like the season just finished the other day. But the new season hotting up. Will we be bringing in any other players? I mean, there was a lot of fans who were hoping that there'd be at least another signing to come into the squad that could have went over and done all the pre-season, etc. But it doesn't look like I'll be signing anyone before that pre-season by the looks of it. And, you know, who are Arsenal going to sign? Who's that next signing going to be? Or are they going to sign anyone else? I get the feeling they're on the lookout for a worldy player, a real world-class player that, if, like I said, somebody comes up like an Ozil, that they can go in and, you know, push the boat out to bring in that real big player that could really make a difference to Arsenal. And the Di Maria thing, I don't think that's going to be the player, because there's no way United would sell him. And as I said, on that sort of money that was being talked about there, I think there's absolutely no way. But it will be that level. I just get the feeling that level of player, maybe the sort of player that's going to attract Arsene Wenger. Let's get into your comments. Remember, I asked a question yesterday as well about, would you have Robin van Persie back at the club? He's available on the cheap. Again, Turkey's what it looks like where he could be heading on some big wages. But would you have him back on the cheap? Scrodry Discovery said, I would rather sign Bentner again than Van Persie. Right? That's what he said. So he's not having it. Roberto Alvarez says, I would like Van Persie back. Yeah. I must admit, he was one of the very few out of all the comments that said this. He said, good price for a player of his age, and he'll add good competition up front. Mesut Sanchez says, no, Robbie, we don't want him back. He went from RVP to RIP. And you know what, there's many others, right? But I know a lot of kids watch this program, so I don't want to be having the expletives on it. But let's just say the general consensus was no. We don't want a Robbie van Persie back. Last one here, this was Zandino FC. He said, Robbie, Barcelona can sign players. They can't be registered in January. And he said, but don't hold your breath on the swap deal for Arda Turan. Yeah, we already discussed yesterday that Arda Turan is joining Barcelona. I know that fact that they can sign players. What I was saying yesterday, to me, it's ridiculous. If you've got a ban, you shouldn't be able to do no transfer business until January comes. It makes a mockery of the ban that Barcelona have got. I mean, you've been banned from signing players, but yet still you're signing players and saying, right, we're going to keep them on hold until January. So effectively with Arda Turan, yeah, you've signed for us, but you can't play for anybody until January. Wait, that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous, right? They should not be in a position to negotiate any deals until that transfer ban has been lifted. then they start doing the deals. But effectively, they're in the transfer market at the moment. And to me, it's just, you know, with UEFA and FIFA, you know, they're soft on, you know, the real big clubs or the big countries. If it had been a smaller club, no doubt they would have enforced it even more. But hey, that's UEFA for you. Thanks for watching Transfer Daily today. We'll be back tomorrow, around about the same time.